Watching news at Prime, let's bring you yet more concerns being raised tonight after taxi patrollers were filmed allegedly harassing motorists. Tour operators in Gauteng have also expressed frustration at the taxi industry. If you were watching this particular program last night, Santaco telling us that they believe it's within their rights to protect their business. Let's speak now to Gauteng Tour Operators Association Deputy Chairperson Victor Sibeko. Mr. Sibeko, good evening to you, and thank you very much for your time. You are saying that as tour operators, you have had your own challenges with the taxi industry. How exactly has your business been affected?
Good evening, Mr. Mugambi, and to all the viewers of Newzroom Channel 405.
Good evening, sir. Let's start with how you as tour operators have been affected by what you say is the behavior of taxi operators.
Mr. Mugambi, we've been incredibly affected to such an extent that it also dents on our image, our reputation, and our brand for our clients, because our clients as tour operators are not only the locals, we also have international clients. So when we ferry our clients around, in and around Johannesburg and South Africa at large, we tend to encounter this abuse by the taxi industry, especially those that drive in small cars they call squads. They would intervene and they would ask us, and well, in fact, just tell us that we have no right to operate in the areas that they operate in. Said to mention that that is not true, because as tour operators, we have operating licenses, and our licenses allow us to operate within the province, overland, which will be something from Johannesburg to Sun City, and interprovincial, which we can go over to KZN, and national.
Yeah.
So as we operate, we get stopped by the taxi industries, and they tend to say we don't have the permission or the right to operate in these routes, and they threaten to take the cars and we must pay a fine. And I've been a victim of such, and many other operators which are members of the Gauteng Tour Operators Association.
Yeah. All right. You say that you personally have experienced this. Before we get there, when you ferry your clients around the Gauteng province, what mode of transport do you use, and how do you think the taxi operators are able to identify you? I'm trying to understand what makes you become a target.
Okay, we use the various modes of transport depending on the configuration and the clients. For an example, we could be using a sedan, if it's 2 clients. I could be using a minibus, a 7-seater if it's 4 clients, because we don't want our clients to sit like 4 Mastalisane, like in a taxi.
Yeah.
We allow our clients to really sit freely and enjoy the ride. If it's 6 or more clients, we'd use a 10-seater, and if it's 10 or more, we should use a 13-seater. So our modus operandi, the way we operate, we don't sit clients cramped up like in a taxi. They must sit freely. So I could be using either a 10-seater, a 13-seater, or a sprinter, which is an 18-seater,
yeah,
but ensuring that the clients are comfortable.
When you say you've had your own run-ins with the taxi operators, what happened? Do you remember a particular incident?
Well, I've got a number of incidences of my own, including of our members. From my side, in tourism, our permit allows us to pick up from one point to another point. For an example, if I have a group tour, I will be picking up from Bara and away from the taxi rank, and then traveling to either Mpumalanga or Clarence or Drakensberg or even the Garden Route. If I have clients that want to do a Soweto tour, I would be picking up from the hotel in Sandton or Rosebank, or I would be picking up from the airport to drop off at the airport, to drop off at the desired hotel. So this is how I would be operating. So in most of these instances, A classic example, when I have a group tour picking up at Barra, these operators, they inspect, they called, what do they call them, by the way? The squad car will come through to the pickup point and will demand that I pay them a bribe. And I would refuse. And they would insist that if I refuse, they will then take me to their office. And when I get to the office, I will have to pay far more than what I have to pay. So in several incidences, I've actually refused to pay. But when it's not me driving, it's one of my drivers or my team members driving, they are so harassed to such an extent that they have to part with money. And that money is payable to the squad guys. The recent incident happened when I had clients, international clients that traveled from OR Tambo to Park Station, which is an experience on its own. We do meet and greet at the airport, and we allow the clients to experience the train to Park Station. Then we pick them up at the Park Station to the hotel. So the car was impounded, physically impounded at Johannesburg Park Station by the squad guys when my driver took them there. And they said they were going to impound the car. I'll have to pay $2,500, and they will keep the car overnight.
And where were the tourists? Where were the tourists whilst this was happening? Were they watching all of this?
The sad thing is that I've got tourists in the vehicle, and it's a bad experience for my tourists, and it's a bad thing for me as a tour operator and as a brand, and it's scaring the tourists from all this happening. So I had the driver had to call me, and I had to speak to the guys telephonically, and I asked them, "May I have your names? May I have your contact numbers?" And asked the driver to take the registration of the cars, but they still said they're going to take the car. Unfortunately, the driver couldn't just succumb to the pressure, and he paid them 500 rands, and that's how they let him go.
Did you encourage your driver to report this to the police? And if so, how many times have you had to go to law enforcement to report this behavior?
Well, at this stage, because we were pressed for time and we had clients on board, we couldn't. But what I've done, which unfortunately is not serving any purpose, is when I have a group tour, I do an affidavit, and I also liaise with the group leader to write a letter to say, we have authorized Mr. Sibeko from Butlebethu Travel and Tours to transport us from point A to point 2 to pick up us from Barra and take us to Mpumalanga or Drakensberg. And then I do an affidavit and take it to the police station. And the police station will then stamp and sign it. Even if you show them these things, they will try their means to try and destabilize you and really throw you off balance. And with clients on board, one is left with no alternative but to part with money, even if it's 200 rands, which is sad.
Yeah, it is something that is not only sad, but also it's against the law, because paying a bribe is completely unlawful. But I get what you are saying, because you have clients on board and they need to get from point A to point B. We thank you for sharing your experiences with us. Hopefully this is part of the case that is possibly building, and we are going to have to talk to the taxi industry some more to understand from their side as to whether what is happening is something that they should continue doing, because they seem very determined to do so. But for the time being, let me thank you very much for your time. Mr. Sibeko, Victor Sibeko, is the Gauteng Tour Operators Association Deputy Chairperson. A sad state of affairs.